So that was our first story. Let's go ahead and get into our second story, which is actually really uplifting and really positive, in my opinion. So we have here at the Washington Post an article by Brian Pietsch. Newsom signs law with sweeping protection for California fast food workers. California Governor Gavin Newsom on Monday signed a bill that increases protection for fast food workers in the state, creating a council to set an industry wide minimum wage and work standards. And we're going to go ahead and watch the video where he kind of explains the law. And this is from the Office of the Governor of California on Twitter.
Well, happy Labor Day, everybody. And I think one of the things that makes California a special place, by definition, is we're the fifth largest economy in the world. But that didn't happen by chance. We've long had a formula for success around growth and inclusion. So many states forget the latter part of that formula. But I'm really proud of California, and I'm proud of the men and women of organized.
Now, I will say that Gavin Newsom is not like a great politician. He's one of those people who just kind of goes with the winds and the polls and see what and to influence his decision making, which is not necessarily a bad thing if the if at the end of the day good things get passed, but he's just a typical, neoliberal stooge just trying to use politics as a career instead of as a way to uplift people and help his community. But with that being said, let's just get back into it because, like I said, this is a fantastic, fantastic law that California just put into place.
Labor, particularly on Labor Day, for their extraordinary work over the course of decades to empower workers, to give them voice and choice, and to fight not just for wages, but better working conditions. At the same time, we got work to do. At the same time, we recognize there are sectors of our economy where we're falling a bit short. And one of those areas is fast food workers. And I want to thank Assemblymember Holden in particular for AB 257 and all of his hard work, a bill that empowers our workers, particularly in that sector, giving them more voice, giving them more choice, creating a new council. And I'm proud on Labor Day to sign that bill and to shrine it in law.
Yeah, so basically, they have a law in California now that kind of gives fast food employees a seat at the table, as well as raising the fast food minimum wage to $22. So let's get into this and we'll break it down. The council will include fast food employees, worker advocates, franchisees, and government representatives. So you have all kind of parts of the cogs of the fast food industry coming together to make the workplace a little bit more equitable, which is absolutely fantastic. The legislation caps the 2023 fast food minimum wage at $22. The state minimum wage is $15 for businesses with 26 employees or more. After January 1st, 2024, the sector's minimum wage will be adjusted for inflation, capped at 3.5% annually. And now that is super, super important. I did a little calculation over here that shows you, reset on me. I remember it. The 1970 minimum wage, I believe, was $1.60. Is that what it was? Yeah, that is what it was. That's the federal minimum wage, which was $12.22. Now, you'll notice something. The federal minimum wage right now is lower than $12.22, and that's because of inflation. For some crazy freaking reason, I mean, we know the reason because the corporations want to freaking basically have you as slaves. But the federal minimum wage does not rise or fall with inflation. So that's why you have so many states where people are literally working for poverty wages, starvation wages. So having a law that makes the minimum wage tied to inflation guarantees that the standard of living will not fall. All right. The law also enhances protections for workers against retaliation by their employers. The Service Employees International Union, which represents 2 million workers nationwide, called the bill's passage a watershed moment in the nation's labor history, giving more than 500,000 low wage workers in the fast food industry a meaningful voice on the job. Excuse me. The IFA said the legislation could cause fast food prices to increase by as much as 20% in California, citing an analysis by the University of California at Riverside. Jesus, give me one second. That analysis found that a 60% increase in worker compensation could cause a 20.4% increase in prices. Now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm willing to pay like an extra dollar or two for a freaking burger if people are actually able to survive off of the jobs that they have to work the vast majority of their waking lives, you know? And that's actually a pretty good ratio of cost increase to worker compensation, because at the end of the day, the cost the raise in compensation is what, three times the price increase. So it doesn't really hurt anybody at the end of the day, those rises in prices, because you'll have more money to spend in the long term anyway, you know? If the minimum wage for the fast food industry rose to the maximum $22 per hour under the new legislation, it would be a 46.7% increase in compensation from the state's current $15 minimum wage. Such an increase could cause prices to rise between 13.6% and 17%, according to UC Riverside analysis. Now, the reason why I think this is so important is I think it represents a broader trend within the United States of labor really rising up, building coalitions, and finally realizing that their employee or their employers are not or should not be these little mini dictatorships where they work you into the grave and reap all the rewards while they sit there and suffer. The workers are the people who create the wealth in this country and around the world, man. And workers are starting to realize that. They're starting to realize if they come together, they have more bargaining power. That's why unions are so important. And that's why I'm so happy to see a rise in unionization. We've seen those national stories with Starbucks. Hundreds of Starbucks chains have been unionized. Many uh, uh, Amazon warehouses have been unionized. So labor is starting to wake up, and that is a great sign. I know there's a lot of darkness and a lot of despair and a lot of uncertainty and anxiety going on in the world right now, but we have to recognize the good when it's there so we can have something to focus on and fight for, so us and future generations can have a future, you know? So this is wonderful. I hope to see more of it in the future.